Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Inside the PSAC. I'm your host, Gary Smith. It is week 12 in the PSAC, and we've started to see some teams on both the men's and women's side clinch. Let's take a look around the PSAC, first starting on the men's side, and we're going to start this week with the scores from this past Saturday. Cal U over Slippery Rock 98-70. That game was played in Hamer Hall. UPJ getting upset by Gannon 64-58, a game that went down to the wire. East Stroudsburg in a close one over Shippensburg 66-63. Lock Haven over Shepherd 83-66. Millersville over Bloomsburg 87-73. Westchester 89, Mansfield 58. Mercier 68, IUP 62 in an upset at Mercyhurst. And Seton Hill over Clarion 73-67. Let's take a look now at where things stand, and we can see it's time for asterisk season as three teams in the PSAC West have clinched postseason berths already. IUP, UPJ, and Cal U all clinched. Actually, Pitt Johnstown and Cal U clinched this week, and IUP clinched earlier last week. But the top three teams are in, and it's just a matter of seeding coming into the last couple weeks of the PSAC. We see a logjam at the top: 13-2, 11-4, 11-4, 10-5. Then Gannon right behind, 9-6. So it's going to be interesting to see how the last 7 or 8 games play out in the PSAC West. Now looking over at the PSAC East. One team has earned an asterisk net, Shippensburg, who has come on as of late. They are 13-2 and have a sizable lead over Westchester and Millersville for first place in the PSAC East. But you see another logjam from Westchester at 9-6 all the way down to Lock Haven at 6-9. So that is going to be another race to watch. And you see in the overall record, Shippensburg 17-4, head and shoulders right now above everybody else in the PSAC East. Now let's take a look at this past week's Athletes of the Week by the PSAC. First on the East, from Millersville, Justin Nuoso. He averaged 23.5 points per game and 7.0 rebounds per game. And then the East Defensive Player of the Week, James Sullivan, also from Millersville. 20 rebounds, 4 steals, 2 blocks. And both Nuoso and Sullivan led their teams to a 2-0 week for the Marauders. Now in the PSAC West, the Players of the Week. From Gannon, Matt Johnson had a career-high 26 points versus the Mountain Cats of Pitts Johnstown. And then on the West defensive side, Cameron Gross leading Mercyhurst to an upset win against IUP. For the week, had 17 rebounds, 6 steals, and a block. Now let's take a look ahead at this coming week's action in the PSAC, Wednesday and Saturday. And you can see the schedule, a lot of 7:30 tip-offs, so there is one different one for the men. East Stroudsburg and Bloomsburg are playing the early game at 5:30 on Wednesday, and then Westchester at Shippensburg. That'll be an 8 o'clock game. Everything else will be the standard 7:30 Wednesday night, and both IUP and Shepherd have Wednesday night off. And then looking ahead to Saturday, February 8th, a whole host of afternoon games. The lone exception is a big one at IUP, Slippery Rock at IUP. That is a huge rivalry game. And then Cal U and Westchester are off. But to keep track of everything CUTV-wise and CUTV sports-wise, well, first, you're going to want to check out PSACsports.org because they will have all the information for you for the conference schedule, standings, and you can see up to date when the asterisks come for teams clinching, because we're getting to that part of the season, the March for March, to see what teams will clinch a PSAC playoff berth. Now moving ahead to keep track of everything on CUTV. If you want to watch the games live, make sure to like and subscribe to CUTV Sports 1 on YouTube. You'll get a notification when the games go live. This week's game, Wednesday night, will be live from Pitt Johnstown in the Lower Highland Mountains. If that's not enough for you, you can keep track of our Twitter page for up-to-date links that are out, crew pictures, and everything else to be a part of CUTV. And follow our Twitter page at CUTV_PA. And once again, you can also listen to the games live on our radio outlet, 91.9 FM WCAL. Make sure to listen along if you're in the car, so there's no reason you can't follow along with Cal Vulcans. And the last way of following along with Cal Vulcans, for all stats, scores, player updates, and game recaps, make sure to check out calvulcans.com. Matt Kiefer, Alex King, and Lee Schwartzweger doing a great job keeping everybody in the know for Cal Vulcan athletics. After the break, we will look at what's happening in the PSAC women's side. You're watching Inside the PSAC.
Sometimes we can do things that exclude others.
You still talking to your friend?
It's complicated.
I think he went back in. We gotta go get him.
Welcome to Jumanji.
Even the smallest words and actions can have a big effect on someone. You have the skills. Because of you, someone's entire day, their year, or their life can change.
Remember, the future is in your hands.
Visit becauseofyou.org to learn more.
Totally, let's do it.
It's time to make the PSAC yours. More than 7,500 student athletes working to become champions in 23 championship sports at 18 universities, educating more than 118,000 students, and supported by an alumni base of over 900,000. All in and all ready to make the PSAC yours. It's the Pennsylvania State Athletic Conference.
Consider the future. Your future. At California University of Pennsylvania, you can build your life your way because we believe in you. We invest in you, empower you to create the future you envision. We give you the tools and teaching so you can rise up and achieve. Don't settle for someone else's vision of you. Build you at CalU. Visit us at calu.edu.
And welcome back to this week's edition of Inside the PSAC. Once again, I'm your host, Gary Smith. And now it's time to take a look to see what is happening on the women's side in the PSAC. And then you can see this past Saturday's scores. CalU over Slippery Rock. Once again, that game was played in historic Hamer Hall, 76-59. Gannon over Pitt Johnstown by 10. Shippensburg surviving a late rally by East Stroudsburg, 59-46. Shepherd over Lock Haven. Bloomsburg over Millersville. Mansfield losing to Westchester. Mercyhurst losing to IEP, and Clarion in an upset and a close one over Seton Hill 68-66. Now after those results, let's see what teams have earned asterisks and where everybody stands first in the PSAC West. You see IEP, who had clinched a PSAC playoff berth last week, is joined by Gannon getting that coveted clinched asterisk. They clinched over the weekend. IEP 15-0, two-game lead over Gannon. Then Edinboro and CalU both 9-5, 9-6 respectively in conference. Seton Hill and Pitt Johnstown 7-8. So it's just a matter of time to see a little bit more asterisks going up, and then it's just about where teams shuffle going into the PSAC postseason. Now looking over at the eastern side of the PSAC, no one has clinched yet, although that will probably change at some point this week. But Shepherd and Shippensburg and East Stroudsburg are all fighting for that top spot, all separated by one game. Shippensburg right now 11-4. They are overcoming a pretty slow start to rise to the top of the PSAC East. And then you see Kutztown right behind them. So really four teams fighting for the top four spots. And then Lock Haven, Bloomsburg, and Westchester all will be fighting for that sixth and final PSAC playoff spot. So a lot to digest and a lot to keep track of as we move forward in February heading towards the postseason. Now let's take a look at what players were outstanding this past weekend in the PSAC East. Marley McLaughlin of Shepherd, she had 23 points per game, 5 rebounds per game, and a 2-0 week for the Rams. And on the defensive side, her teammate Hannah Myers locking it down with 5 steals a game and 4 rebounds a game in an outstanding week for the Shepherd Rams. Now looking over at the PSAC West, a familiar name atop the PSAC West Offensive Player of the Week, Michaela Barnes from Edinboro, broke her own school record, 43 points versus Mercyhurst this past week. And on the defense, CalU's own Shauna Harrison averaged 12 rebounds a game, 2 steals, and 1 block, and a 2.0 week for the Vulcans, both at home. Now let's take a look at the schedule this upcoming week. As one might expect, it's the exact same schedule as the men's, only with the times changed. The 2 times of note to look on there, East Stroudsburg at Bloom is the 7:30 game, so a little reversal with the men playing first and women playing second. And then Westchester at Shippensburg, instead of 5:30, that game is at 6. Once again, IEP and Shepherd have the bye. Now looking ahead to Saturday, February 8th, once again, set your alarm for 1 o'clock because there is a whole host of PSAC basketball on the schedule. And the only teams that are off this week are CalU and Westchester. They will be able to watch multiple screens and keep track of the PSAC action. And to keep track of PSAC action, make sure to check out psacsports.org. The staff at the conference does a great job of keeping everyone up to date, not only in basketball, but in all the winter and spring sports, which will be coming up before you know it. Once again, like and subscribe to our CUTV Sports 1 YouTube page. You'll get notifications when our games are live from the field. This week will be a basketball game Wednesday from UPJ, and then Saturday night, CUTV Sports 1 will be following the men's and women's Vulcan Club hockey teams out at Rostraver. So there's never a dull moment. You can also see whenever coaches' shows and small events are uploaded. Also, like and follow our Twitter page, CUTV_PA. You can see crew pictures and active links when the shows and games are live and uploaded. And to listen on the radio, make sure you listen to our sister station at 91.9 FM, WCAL. All the games are live as well on 91.9. So whether if you're in front of your phone, on a computer, or in your car, you can keep track of Vulcan athletics. And if that's not enough for you, make sure to check out the hard work by Matt Kiefer, Alex King, and Lee Schwartzweger, our friends over at CalVulcans.com sports information. They will have up-to-date stories, stats, highlights, and more. So if there's no reason to not be up to date on what's going on with Cal Vulcan athletics. Well, that's it for this week. We'll see you next week on Inside the PSAC.